reliable sources. However, no responsibility is assumed for inaccuracies. No statement made on this broadcast should be construed as a specific recommendation of a particular investment product. Views expressed are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent those of CBS Radio. Use only as directed.
Smiles, everyone. Smiles. And prepare yourself for...
Show me the money!
Ladies and gentlemen, the radio broadcast experience designed to keep your wallet in top condition. It's Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Talkin' money. Talkin' money. More money, more money, more money.
And now entering the studio, your guru for fiscal fitness, Jeff Tarbell.
All right. Good morning, everyone. How's it going out there? We are here Saturday morning live, and Jeff is out taking care of some business. So I'm here, John Fotorero, have a couple guests here, and a little different week here in Sacramento. We have a little rain which is good. We also have a few other things that have been changed up this week. But before we get into that, we have our own famous Chris Verlade that I'm sure he's got something to say. Let's see what he's got here. What do you got, Mr. Boston?
Hey, John, how you doing?
Doing well.
This kind of crept up on me. I could say something. I'm pretty excited about. The Republic, the new soccer team, 4,000 season tickets. Oh, you knew I was going to talk about that, huh? So 4,000 season tickets. Don't know where they're playing. We know when they're playing, so that's pretty awesome. Their goal was 5,000, so that's a huge step for getting a MLS team in Sacramento.
Absolutely. I think it's great news. I think they're all doing a good job out there, but there's definitely a few pieces of the puzzle to put together. It sounds like the Super Bowl was, what, a month ago? Or was that just a week ago? It seems like so many different things with the Olympics coming on. A lot of other things happening. Before I get into that, I'll have to say happy birthday to my son Dylan. He's turning 11. We had 11 fifth graders sleep over last night, so if I sound a little groggy, there was a few, especially when my wife starts feeding him ice cream at 10 o'clock at night with all the fixins. Oh, you want more caramel? You want more Cool Whip? So it's a long night at the Fotorero household, but Dylan's turning 11. His buddies over there having fun. Apparently they're out swimming in the swimming pool this morning, which every good kid does at 9 o'clock on a rainy February morning. I have some guests here today going to help fill us in while Jeff's out taking care of business, as I said. We have Doug Rowley's here from State Farm. What you got, Doug?
Morning, John. How you doing?
Doing well. And then we all have, his mic's not on? Mic number 4 on. Mic 4 is on. Let's try mic 3. Dr. Anthony Raymond.
Good morning.
Okay, we're there. And how about Doug? Give us a check.
I'm here now, John.
Oh, there we go. We're in business. So we have Doug Rowley from State Farm Insurance. We also have Dr. Anthony Raymond from Keystone Chiropractic. Myself, John Fotorero. We're here. And we got the birthday out of the way. The Olympics are in full stride. Apparently we have an Olympic winner already in gold, but I won't give that away like Facebook did already this morning. We'll see if that's good or bad news to start giving things away before it comes out live on TV. We have some rain in the forecast, which is great for our sponsors here at Tahoe. We'll have some quiz questions with some Sierra Tahoe tickets today. We also have some round table pizzas if you're not into the skiing thing and or if the roads are closed and you need to get some food in your stomach. So we have those things coming up. Sierra's reporting, I think, 7 inches last night, 3 inches the day before, 5 inches the day before that. So some of those things will be helpful. As we know, I'm sure Folsom Lake is now a mud pit instead of just a dry pit. But at least for this week, we won't talk about the drought, and that's a good thing. With our guests here today, we're going to talk a little bit about, obviously, money, some financial aspects of what you can do insurance-wise, some other topics that I think are just crazy this week, which is some of the ads on the flu epidemic that's going on, the push for flu shots. I myself do not get flu shots. and haven't, but that's a whole nother discussion. The Olympics, as we know, they're all going on. And the article here, when 2007, when Mr. Putin started this, his original estimate was $12 billion for the price tag, and came out a little bit of a cost overrun at $51 billion. So I question, you're going to put on the Olympics, your best guess is $12 billion with a B, and 7 years later you come up at $51 billion. A little bit of a miss. I don't know about you guys out there, landscapers, contractors, lenders. If I'm off by $100, $200 on my closing statement, I get beat down. And I do everything to come in to the good for the client. So when we come in slightly off, $51 billion versus $12 billion, I don't know what to say. And I understand there's some politics involved in it. When the Olympics come to town, they want us to, or whoever the host country is, to really make it fashionable. They want it to be creative. But Sochi this year outdoes all the rest of the all the other Olympics to combined cost. So kind of mind-boggling there. Cost overruns. We all see them. What else do I have? Going for the gold. Like I said, it looks like host countries are kind of speculating. We're doing pretty well with the Winter Olympics getting started. I don't know if everybody watched the ceremonies last night. Some say it was too political. Some say it was not. I think the venue was quite interesting. So enough of that. Mr. Doug Rowley, how are you?
Doing
Welcome.
good. Doing good.
Good. What do you got going on these days?
Just keeping busy, helping people protect their life. And
so we were talking before the show, since we are a real estate and finance show, some of the things going on out there that I was going to talk about. First-time home buyers are, I'm seeing, we say healthy first-time home buyer out of the total percentage of sales is 35 to 40%. And currently, last year and this year, we're looking to be at about 38% first-time home buyers, which is healthy. And you were saying you're seeing a little bit of that.
yeah, we see a lot of new clients coming in that are first-time home buyers, and that's one of the things we really enjoy doing in my office is just educating people, letting them know how the policies work, what are the right coverages for them, and it's rewarding to work with first-time home buyers, as you know, to help them realize that dream of home ownership.
Yeah, definitely. So part of the reason the first-time home buyers is within that 38% or 35 to 40% healthy region is because the investors are coming down. Normal healthy investor market is about 12%. In 2012, we were at 31% of the market. 2013, we're at 19%, and then we're looking to drop a little bit. So as the investors come out, there's not as much cash buyers. There's not as much other folks in the market writing offers, so a little more opportunity for those first-time home buyers.
And some great programs out there for first-time home buyers to take advantage of, too.
Very true, very true. Statistics I saw over the last couple of days, 40% buyers were cash buyers in 2012. So when you're competing against a cash buyer, pretty tough for that first-time home buyer who's either FHA or they're back and haven't owned a house for several years because of a short sale, foreclosure, what have you. So we're getting back to some healthy markets, I think. One of the things we're going to see, potentially every area is a little bit different, is a few or multiple offers as we get inventory back in. Obviously, we know with tighter credit, a lot of the rulings out there, there's a little tighter credit, but lots of opportunities to get that up and going. You see your credit card bill now has your credit score on it. You see all these different things with your credit score on it. And, years in the past, you had to pay $50 and fill out a form and do all these things to get your credit score. And now it's just kind of blatant out there. So spectacularly, we're going to see a little less frantic pace as things normalize a bit, whatever normal is. I don't quite, every time somebody says normal, I always say, what does that mean? Because it's always just kind of out there. So A tip for all you home buyers out there, I would say, is just know that you want to look at your credit, get your better credit. You're going to need some down payment money, generally speaking, unless you're in different tolerances. There is down payment money and assistance. And there's more choices. There's going to be more homes you can look at. You're not going to have to jump on them as quickly. And those are some tips for you as you're out. There's some open houses this weekend I know about, but traffic generally is a little lighter when it's rainy. Not so brilliant as we've had. My neighbor had a neighborhood party last night, just kind of a neighborhood watch kind of thing, outdoors with the whole neighborhood, and they were out there trying to build a facade to keep everybody dry. But different story as we have the rain here. Dr. Anthony Raymond, you're looking good with your Superman shirt on there.
There's a little Captain America there, buddy.
Captain America,
That's
okay. I need to see. My kid's 11 now, so I don't get to watch those. But what do you got going on?
Really, I guess, frustrated at the, blatant misinformation that's out there in regards to flu shots. And just want to really shed some light on that today. Break up some misconceptions, and ultimately just inform people. I know oftentimes we get inundated with one particular form of information or one take on a subject, and just trying to shed some light and help people make better choices or make more informed choices.
Yeah, so one of the things that got me, I'm looking at Wednesday's paper, Thursday's paper, all the SAC-B papers out there as the flu epidemic is underway. Let's see, this morning's paper, flu kills 202 in the state, age under 65. SAC-B Thursday morning, spreading urgency for flu shots and why they're so important. A lot of things you can do with flu shots, without flu shots. I see lines at Raley's grocery store on flu shots. So lots of different things there. Flu deaths triple statewide rate. L.A. County, 20 flu deaths. Sacramento with 15. San Bernardino, 13. Santa Ana, and so on and so on. So the flu epidemic, H1N1, is out there. Obviously, we need to be healthy. We need to keep our immune system strong. We have, health insurance. We have a lot of different coverages. We also have your keeping healthy, eating greens. Along the health kick, another thing I saw this week, grab this here. So CVS to kick cigarette habit. They're not going to sell cigarettes anymore at CVS. Thought that was pretty interesting. Another item, maybe not so healthy, but Coca-Cola soon to be able to make Coca-Cola in your home with the Keurig, basically, with the K-Cup. 10% share in Mountain Coffee Roasters for Coca-Cola. So that should be interesting. And another thing I saw here, so Forbes congratulates Smashburger as one of America's most promising companies for 2014. Full page ad named by Forbes for Smashburger. I'm not a big Smashburger guy because there's not one on every corner, but I thought that was interesting how we are congratulating Smashburger. So good luck to them as we eat burgers. Hopefully we put some tomatoes, lettuce, ketchup, some good stuff on there, but some of the things we saw this week. So before I continue my rant, let's take a little break here, get situated. We'll get let's get a quiz question here from Dr. Doug Rowley.
Yeah.
Doug Rowley, you have a quiz question for us this morning. This is for a Sierra at Tahoe ticket, and obviously the snow is good, or we have a round table pizzas. And what do you got for us?
Yeah, everybody has a lot of financial plans and a lot of things that they're working on and different assets here and there. So I want to throw out one question is sit back and think about, for most folks, what is your most valuable asset?
Is it my car?
Depends on the car you drive.
Okay. All right. So most valuable asset to each of us out there, what is the most valuable asset we have today as we are living this life? That's the quiz question for the day. You can reach us. You can text us at 339-1140. You can also call in at 1-800-920-1140. That's 1-800-920-1140. Or text us at 339-1140. And we're going to be right back here shortly. We're going to roll the break.
Talkin' money.
Well, our Alrighty then, we're back to Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
All right, good morning. This is John Fotoraro. Jeff is out. And did we get any quiz winners there? No winners? Okay. You can reach us at 339-1140 or 1-800-920-1140, 1140. The first quiz question was, give us a repeat there, Doug.
Yeah. In all of your financial plans, what is your most valuable financial asset?
Okay. Most valuable financial asset we have. That's for tickets to Sierra at Tahoe, and we have our round table pizzas. Again, the text line is 441140 or 339-1140 or 1-800-920-1140. So we're back. We have Doug Rowley here from State Farm Insurance. And Doug, tell me a little bit about what are you doing? What are you seeing out there in the insurance world as we're working? I know you work with business owners, you work with homeowners. What's going on in the insurance world?
It's riveting, John. It's just nothing but excitement and new things going on every day with insurance. No, it's not a real sexy topic, but it is something that is very, very critical in a financial plan. And like we were talking with a lot of first-time home buyers, there's a lot of things that they need to consider that they may not be aware of the importance. And aside from the home insurance, everybody gets that lined up because the mortgage brokers require that, to be there to protect the banks. But one of the things people need to really think about is protecting themselves. With the home insurance, if there's a mortgage on the property, what you're really doing is securing the bank's money, that if something happens, the bank knows they'll get their money back. But what a lot of people don't consider is protecting themselves. And what if something happens to one of the family members, the breadwinners in the family that are allowing to bring in income to make that mortgage payment? What if something happens to them? Does the family get to keep the house? Does the family get to stay in the school district that they love, stay in the neighborhood that they love? And that's what a lot of people don't consider when they're buying, especially first-time home buyers when they're buying a house. So that's something we can help with.
Yeah, I always see with insurance, I always see people just trying to get the lowest insurance rate possible, whether it's your car, your house, and I always, tend to say, well, do you know what your coverages are? And they're all, well, no, but I know, my quote was $720 over here and it was $590 over here. What are some of the big differences when you're seeing different price quotes?
A lot of it is the coverages. One of the philosophies or one of the things that we focus on in my office is making sure people are not wasting money on coverage they don't need, but making sure when something happens that they're protected. And there's a line there of going with the cheapest coverage as possible, and then you find out the hard way when you have a claim when something's not covered or you didn't have that feature on your policy, and then now you're coming out of your own pocket liquidating your own savings to rebuild the house or to fix your car or whatever it might be. So there's a line there, and that's what we focus on, helping people find that line of coverages they need that fits their financial plan, but at the same time not wasting coverages and being over-insured and trying to allocate that money somewhere else.
So I know you guys have good coverage as far as on vehicles, business vehicle coverage, truck lines, fleets, kind of things of that sort.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you see happening that are good coverages to have on those fleets and such?
On those, with businesses, the main coverage on the policy is the liability coverage and making sure that coverage amount is properly protecting the business and, in a sole proprietor situation, the business owner's assets. Because if you're faced and slapped with a huge lawsuit, the business could be at stake, and that's the source of income for the owner. So making sure that is protected, and then making sure the deductibles are right to fit what you're comfortable coming out of your own pocket if a claim happens. And one coverage a lot of people overlook is medical payments, and that provides money for you and your passengers in an accident, regardless of who is at fault. You can have some money there to take care of some medical bills.
Okay. What as far as uninsured motorists these days, what are some of the coverages and topics there?
Uninsured motorists is a really important coverage. I think the last statistic I saw in California, I think it's approaching about 20% of drivers do not have insurance. And that doesn't factor in the people that are carrying state minimums of $15,000 in liability. So what that means is if you're hit by somebody and you're making a good wage and you're injured and losing income because you can't work, the most you're going to get from that other person might be $15,000. So if you have the proper underinsured motorists and uninsured motorists, you can make sure that you are compensated for your financial loss regardless of what the other driver's carrying.
It's very interesting. As I hear, Doug, you're talking right now, and something that I often see in my practice when I'm dealing with individuals or patients that have been involved in motor vehicle accidents. It's very frustrating when you have an individual who's clearly hurt. It wasn't their fault at all that they were rear-ended or whatever it might be, what type of accident, and it turns out that the car that hit them had the lowest policy or they're completely uninsured they don't have any insurance whatsoever. So now this person who did absolutely nothing except drive to work, possibly go pick up their kids from school, now they are being penalized for somebody else's lack of coverage. And so I can't stress the importance of what you're talking about in regards to this underinsured motorist, as well as MedPay. These are things designed to help an individual make sure that in the event, and we're always planning, we never want this to happen to us, but in the event that there is some form of trauma or accident that occurs and you sustain injuries, well, you know that your body can get back to where it was prior to that accident. Very, very important.
Yeah. Don't rely on somebody else to be responsible,
right?
Because there's a lot of irresponsibility out there.
Absolutely. Let's pick up Robert. He has a question on the line here. Hello, Robert. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm fine, thank you. My question relates to term life insurance. I'm wondering whether or not there's a reputable website that has multiple companies offering low-cost term life insurance.
Yeah, there are. One of the websites I have up in front of me right here that can direct you to a company is lifehappens.org. It's an independent, not sponsored by any specific company, but has a lot of good information about term life insurance. And one of the key things you want to remember in looking at term life is the financial strength of the company that's backing that promise. You could go online to one of the broker type of websites and not know how strong that company is. And if you're buying a 30-year term policy, you might need that company to be there for you 15, 20 years from now. And do they have the financial strength to be there when you need them? And that's what's great about State Farm is we have one of the strongest financial strength ratings across all the rating agencies in the industry.
Wonderful. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks for
You're
calling
welcome.
in, Robert. Appreciate it. So good call there. So let's roll into life insurance, Doug. Term life, whole life. What do you see out there? Do you get it when you're a kid? Do you get it when you're old and you're about, what are some of the strong points of the insurance?
Yeah, one of the things, when to buy life insurance is the big question. And, if we knew the exact day we're going to die, it'd make that answer a lot easier, but we don't. And so one of the things to keep in mind is that your health buys the policy, your money just pays for it. So, when you're healthy and you have people that have some level of dependence upon you to make ends meet, that's the time to buy it. Lock in your health when you have it rather than putting it off and unexpectedly something comes up, and no matter how much money you have, you may not be able to buy a policy just because you can't get approved. So it's best to have some coverage, get what you can afford. Some is better than none, and so I came across one interesting statistic done by a life insurance industry study company, and it says 80% or 86% say they have not bought life insurance because it's too expensive. Yet these folks overestimate its true cost by 2 times. So I see all the time how surprised people are when they realize they can afford, some coverage. They can make sure that their family has something to help make ends meet if they were to pass away. So
term versus whole life. What do you see mostly folks buying?
Mostly people buy term, and term is a great policy to have simply because most of your life insurance needs are a temporary need. Your mortgage hopefully will be paid off one day. You don't have to cover that anymore. If you have kids in the house, hopefully, cross your fingers, one day they'll be self-sufficient, and they're no longer as dependent upon you to have food in their mouth. But I see a lot of people now that 10, 20 years ago bought the term policy. Now that policy is quadrupling in price, and they still need coverage. Now they're going back at an older age trying to buy coverage, and it's very, very expensive. So I recommend that there be at least a little bit of permanent insurance in the plan as well, so that when that term policy expires, you've got something locked in. It has maybe a cash value in it, and most of all, the premium is set for life. It'll never go up, and so you don't have to worry about 20 years, 30 years from now having to pay the rates of an older age and paying extremely, extremely high rates. And a lot of times people can't afford it, so they end up going without coverage at all. And that's obviously not the best situation for the family.
So what about life insurance? I myself have life insurance and purchased it probably at a later age where it was a little more expensive. But as far as getting it for our children, is that a good idea?
Yeah, it can be. It's everybody's plan is different. I think it's great to have some coverage for a child just because, you're not wanting to profit if your child passes away. That's not at all the goal, but you're locking something in for them that can be the foundation of their financial plan when they're older. And again, that premium is locked in forever. It could be building a cash value, but most importantly, you've locked in their insurability.
So use it as an investment tool.
Yeah, possibly, but most of all, what if their health changes? There's kids that I know that are 7 years old, 12 years old that are battling cancer right now. They're in a situation where they could overcome it, they could recover and be healthy, but the underwriter won't be wanting to see that. They may not ever be able to get a policy, and whereas if they had something locked in, they could automatically increase it later on, regardless of health. They've guaranteed their insurability for their entire life.
Gotcha. So outside of life insurance, talk about disability insurance.
Yeah, that's another key, income protector. If you are disabled and can't work, how do the bills keep getting paid? How do you make that mortgage payment, make that car payment, pay the grocery bill? Those are some things to think about as somebody's buying a house or taking on responsibilities. Is if I can't work, that thing that provides me with everything I'm able to do, which is my income, if I can't generate that income, how's the family surviving? How are we getting by?
Right. Okay. So, Doug, how does somebody get a hold of you? I know there's plenty of websites out there, but what's a good way to get a hold of you for any insurance-type questions, homes, health, medical? I know you can forward leads to different people on that.
Sure.
Life insurance.
Yeah, definitely. My website, DougRowley.com. Last name is spelled Rowley. You can email me, Doug@DougRowley.com, or, of course, the old traditional telephone. We've got 916-967-6617.
Very good, very good. So that's Doug Rowley with State Farm Insurance. And we also have Dr. Anthony Raymond here. He's with Keystone Chiropractic as our chiropractor. Also focusing on health and wellness. And we're going to take a little break here. We get into the final segment. This is John Fotorero. And we got a quiz question number 2. This might take some brain power, but what do you have for us?
So I'm throwing this out to healthy people, I guess, out there, or people that have been under chiropractic care. But who was the first chiropractic patient, the very first chiropractic patient?
Can you give us a time frame of when that might have been?
1895.
1895, chiropractic started. Who was the first chiropractic patient? And give us a hint. You can tell us what benefit did it provide that patient?
Oh, would you like me to share that with you?
Yeah.
It improved his hearing. The man was deaf, and after his first adjustment, he was able to hear again.
Okay.
Oh, and I said he. So there's two tips right there.
Okay, perfect. So you can text us at 339-1140. My text line is not working at a blank screen, but we'll be able to pick it up. or 1-800-920-1140. Who was the first chiropractic patient back in the 1800s? So we're going to roll in the break here. We'll come back for our third section. We're going to talk about the flu. We're going to talk about health, staying healthy, doing good things, eating your greens, and we look forward to talking to you when we get back. See ya.
Talking money.
And we're back to Talkin' Money. And here's Jeff Tarbell.
All right, along with Jeff Tarbell, not here today, but this is John Fotorero, co-host, and along with me is Doug Rowley from State Farm Insurance, also Dr. Anthony Raymond from Keystone Chiropractic. We've been talking a little bit about different things going on in Sacramento. We're talking about insurance, life insurance. Answer the first quiz question was, what is your most valuable asset as a working person? And that answer is
Your income.
Your income. So give us the statistics you had on that.
Yeah, so when you think about it, your income is what allows you to do things in life. It allows you to buy your house, buy your car, buy food for your family. And so a lot of people overlook how important their income is. And so I ran some numbers, and let's say someone makes $75,000 a year. They've got about 25 years into retirement, factoring in taxes and a reasonable wage increase over that time frame. You're going to earn over $2.2 million. And that's $2.2 million that is to provide for your family and to provide for your financial goals and your financial dreams and accomplish what you want to accomplish. And so a lot of people, don't, I think, realize how big that number is and the importance of, again, protecting that. If that income's gone, what impacts does that have on the family?
Right. So let's get into our next leadway. Really is about this flu epidemic. To me, health and fitness. What is the cost of you being sick and out of work for a week? So if you sat down there and took your income and said, if I'm out 1 week, typically it's a little more than that if you have the flu, but what is the cost of that? So everyone, that's my question to you just in general, and you could text us on that if you have a number for me. What is the cost? So to me, very valuable to not be ill. We talked about the different benefits, but we're going to lead in with Dr. Anthony Raymond. Tell us what you see. You're not just a chiropractor, but big into health and wellness, and what are some of the things we can do?
So first and foremost, the cost of being unhealthy or ill to not only yourself but to the U.S. In general. So healthcare in the U.S. increased to $2.64 trillion, which was about 17.7% of the U.S. gross domestic product. Now, when we are sick, simple things, well, not simple things, but in 2010, cardiovascular disease and stroke cost American businesses more than $503 billion, that's billion with a B, in lost productivity and healthcare costs. And I bring that up. There are several other statistics. We could talk about Alzheimer's, $172 billion, obesity, $147 billion. These are disease processes or diseases that are, as we talked about before, taking money out of your own pocket, so you are not able to work. Many people do not have paid sick days, so that is income out of their pocket. But secondarily to the businesses, well, they are not getting the work done. So this is decreasing productivity. They are having to pay out, whether it is healthcare costs. They're paying higher premiums for health insurance. Doug, we were just talking off air about if you are, in order to get a healthcare policy, if someone is healthy versus somebody is ill, what's the cost difference?
Well, now on the health insurance side with the new Obamacare, with pre-existing conditions, unfortunately the health rating isn't quite as big of a deal. It's still a factor on the life insurance and disability side. And some, cardiovascular issues, you could see a life insurance policy 2 to 2.5 times the premium of a healthy person.
So, I'm constantly sharing with the people that I work with that it is always going to be less expensive to deal with something in a preventative measure versus reacting to it. So we're constantly talking about being proactive about health versus reactive. And unfortunately, the society that we're living in, for the most part, we are a reactive society. We don't generally go to healthcare professionals if we're feeling fine, if we're feeling healthy. We go when we are feeling ill or we're feeling there are some challenges with our health. And whenever you do that, that is going to be more expensive because there is some process going on in your body that needs to be addressed. Okay. Another thing we were talking about off air is the concept of health, and just because you feel fine, does that mean that you're healthy? Many of us are walking around, and you may have the ideal body type that the media says we're supposed to be looking like. But is that just a false shell, a false representation of what's going on inside of you and the toxicity that could be existing within you as well? So when we are not healthy or when our health is challenged, that's going to affect us in a number of different ways, and specific to the show in regards to financially. That's money out of your pocket. Now, as we kind of have been talking or briefly touching on the flu shot and the flu shot epidemic or the flu epidemic and it's flu season, I always find that kind of amusing. Flu season. What exactly does that mean? Does that mean that across the Atlantic or the Pacific, there's this massive concentration of flu virus that's making its way towards the States and North America, and watch out, it's flu season. Let's make sure that we get our flu shots now. But what exactly is the flu shot? Has it shown any efficacy in reducing people's incidence of contracting the flu? And I think we should address that. The first thing that I want to kind of touch on was a study done in 2010, and basically they looked at nursing home workers. One of the arguments that the powers that be have in regards to flu shots is that people that have a compromised immune system should get the flu shot. So the elderly, they may have a compromised immune system, so let's give them the flu shot. Let's boost their immune system. I'm saying this all tongue in cheek, but let's boost their immune system somehow, and that way they won't get the flu. Well, interestingly enough, in the study they looked at nursing home workers, and what they looked at is the incidence of getting the flu shot versus the reduction in getting the flu, or the secondary aspect to getting a flu is bacterial pneumonia. What they concluded was that there was zero correlation or no effect between getting the flu shot and incidence of getting the flu itself. So then that begs to ask the question, well, why would they be getting it? Because it wasn't changing anything. Another thing that we can talk about, in 2008, the Archives of Pediatric and Adolescent Medicine. Another demographic that people talk about are children. Children, oh no, their immune systems aren't developed. Oh no, they might be getting they might be more susceptible to getting the flu. Well, they looked at children as a study, and they again found there was zero impact on flu-related hospitalizations or doctor visits. So this begs the question again: why are we putting something into our body that is not causing any benefit whatsoever in reducing the incidence of getting the flu? They claim that by doing this being getting a flu shot, we are going to reduce our chance of getting the flu. Yet the evidence that is before us shows that is in fact not the case. Simple one. American Journal of Respiratory and Critical Care Medicine found that in 1980, there were about 15% of people over 65 years old getting the flu shot. Only 15%. They fast forwarded this to 2010, and they found that is about 65% of people are getting the flu shots who are over 65 years old. However, you would think that, okay, well, there was 15% in 1980, there's 65% getting the flu shot in 2010, so there must be a reduction. There must be a reduction in the actual incidence of getting the flu. Zero. So we've increased the amount of people that are getting the flu shots, but there has not been a decrease in the amount of people getting the flu. So what's that? How does that make any sense whatsoever? We're putting something in our bodies that is questionable, to say the least, and yet we're not getting the benefits from it.
So what do we do?
Great question.
What do we do?
So the first, and before we get into,
because I do see the lines at Rayleigh's.
Yeah.
They have cookies and ice cream, and then they're waiting in line to get their flu shot.
So
what are some of the things?
Exactly. First and foremost, let's touch on what flu season really is and why we see an incidence or an increase rather in the flu in the quote unquote winter months. Okay, the reason that we generally see that is because of the inclement weather, whether it's cold, if we're in the Northeast, snow craziness, or rain out here in California, but we tend to be inside more. When we are inside, we are not getting an extremely, extremely important vitamin to our bodies, which is vitamin D. Okay, vitamin D, the best source of vitamin D is from sunlight. And in the winter months, we are generally inside, so we're not getting as much vitamin D. Now, vitamin D has been shown and proven to reduce the incidence of the flu and reduce the incidence of common cold. Okay, so you asked me what is the first and most important thing as far as I'm concerned is getting more vitamin D in our body. Now, in the winter months, if we are inside, then we can't get the sunlight as much as we could. There is definitely, you can get vitamin D from tanning beds. I'm not going to say let's go fry ourselves and turn orange, but getting a low dose of UV radiation is fantastic in order to get some vitamin D. We can also supplement orally with vitamin D as well. That would be first and foremost. The other ones are stuff that I'm sure everybody has heard before. This is exercising. This is eating properly. Fruits and vegetables. Imagine that. Yeah, those are things that definitely can help us boost our immune system. One thing of noting, we had talked about that there are 202 deaths from the flu in California. There are about 26 million people in California. So when you do the math, that is an extremely, extremely small percentage of people that have died from it. And to run out of fear or panic and go to a grocery store or to a pharmacy in order to get this shot based on such a small percentile of people contracting or dying from it, I think is questionable. It's questionable. In addition,
although I've heard pressures from family members that you need to go get the flu shot. You need to get the flu shot. You have to do it. There's people dying. There's other ways to increase your immune system without just running. And I just see these pressures of, well, if I don't get it, But I also know that some folks that are getting this flu shot are unfortunately there are some deaths related that have got the flu shot. So it's definitely one of those.
So there's something to note as well. Most the deaths that have occurred from the flu, we'll say, it is very rare to actually die from the flu. Most of those deaths come from a secondary complication called bacterial pneumonia. Now, the course of care for bacterial pneumonia, because it is a bacteria, is antibiotics. So even if you did contract the flu and it went secondarily to bacterial pneumonia, the flu vaccine is not going to cure or to fix or to help you in the least. You should be under a course of antibiotic care, which would be normal for a bacterial infection. So our bodies have something called the immune system, all right? It is our defense against things that we come in contact with. We are every single day, we are coming into contact with various viruses, bacteria, so on and so forth. There is a course of introducing things into our body. So we either touch them, we breathe them in, or we taste them, okay? When we inject something into our bodies, we are bypassing those initial immune responses because we're breaking the skin, we're going directly into our blood system versus breathing it in, tasting it, or touching it. And that is a critical step that is missed. So when we are putting a needle into our body, we are not necessarily allowing our bodies to mount the immune response that we're supposed to. That's first and foremost. Vitamin D, great way to prevent colds, viruses, flus, things of that nature. Supplementing with it, getting sunlight when you can. Rest. Okay, we are a sleep deprived nation. We are go. We want things now, or rather, we want it yesterday. So when we put our bodies in an ill position, when we don't give it the necessary building blocks for better health, we are more susceptible to contract certain things.
That's right. So we have to build our immunity. Again, questions I have out there: what is the cost of being sick, and what are you doing to take care of your health as a cost item? Thankful to be here this morning. Thanks you guys for tuning in and listening in this rainy Saturday morning. Doug Rowley with State Farm can be reached at doug@dougrowley.com. Anthony Raymond, Dr. Anthony Raymond, best way to reach you?
You can give me a call, 916-452-5055, or Google Keystone Chiropractic.
All right, and I'm John Fotoraro with Comstock Mortgage, filling in for Jeff Tarbell this morning. Thanks again for tuning in. Go out and hit the slopes, have some fun, take care of your loved ones,